Hello and namaste everyone. We were showing the video of Anish Giri simul for Nepal, and with that video we have already shown a draw of Chidis Bhandari versus Anish Giri. Now we are with the another draw that was played by Mahesh Thapa, a very talented player of Nepal who just drew his game 2 with the Anish Giri on his simul game for Nepal. We'll begin the game here. Of course, Anish Giri is playing white for all, and Mahesh Thapa is black. The game was started with e4 here as well, and Giri played e4. Most of the game he played e4. Out of 30 games, around 20 games he played e4, and that was the king's pawn game. g6 was played and it was converted to modern defense. d4 was then played. Bishop to g7, normal opening. Nothing bigger is happening over here. Knight to f3, c5, Sicilian. It's converted to Sicilian dragon variation, a hyper accelerated dragon variation. It's converted to Sicilian hyper accelerated dragon variation when there is c5. Moved c3 was played, c captures d4, c captures d4 was then played. d5, trying to break the center square of the white. e5 was played, e5 was then played. Bishop to g4, and after knight bd2 was played. Knight on the c3 could also be played over here. Knight to c3. If knight to c3, then of course there will be knight to c6, and even knight to c3 could be played, but in order to defend the pin here, Anish Giri played knight bd2. And after knight c6 was played, bishop b5 pinning the knight. Rook to c8, castle. e6 was then played. As 3 attacks the bishop, and after bishop captures on the f3, here bishop cannot go backward. If bishop goes anywhere, like bishop goes back to the f5, then it would be mistake. After g4, then there will be bishop to e4, force knight on the g5. Yes, knight and g5 here, because if queen captures, then what happens if queen captures? If queen captures, then there will be knight into e4, and queen have to go somewhere. Queen back to e8, then there will be knight check, and there will be extends up for white, and of course winning position for white. So here bishop back to f5 is not possible. If the pawn on the g6 was not moved over here, then you can move your bishop back to the h5, but here g6 is over here, so you cannot move your bishop back to the h5 because there will be g4 coming up. So here bishop captures in the f3 was played by Mahesh Thapa. Knight captures in the f3, knight in the e7. Final piece is developed by black as well. Bishop to f4, and then after queen to b6 attacks the bishop. Bishop captures in the c6, knight captures in the c6. It's just simple exchange that's going on. Nothing, there is no any tactical move here going on, because there's exchange of the bishop over here, there's exchange of the bishop with the knight over here, and most probably both the players are playing just to develop the pieces, and of course Anish Giri will be thinking up more in his game. However, he cannot think more because of the simul. He is playing securely all of these moves. Queen to d2, trying to go for the bishop on the h6, and extends the black diagonal bishop with the white bishop. Castle was then played. Rook ac1, rook c7, trying to just bring another rook to the same file and double the rook. Rook c3 was then played. Rook fc8, rook fc1 was played, simply doubling the rook. White have a little advantage because of the open file. However, knight to a5 was then played. b3, not letting knight to come on the c4 square. Rook captures in the c3, rook captures on the c3, rook captures on the c3, queen captures on the c3. Everything is being exchanged. Knight back to c6, attacks the pawn on the d4. Whenever knight or queen goes anywhere, then there will be queen captures or knight captures on the d4 coming up. Queen d2, queen cannot move other way because he have to protect the pawn on the d4. Queen d2, trying to exchange the another piece as well. If everything is exchanged automatically, this will be draw. Mahesh Thapa, a talented player, however, wants a draw with the super grandmaster. If we will be able to draw a super grandmaster, then it is also very good for all of us. king to f1 was then played, queen captures on d2, bishop captures on d2. Here black have some here black don't have some here black have some disadvantage because of the bishop on the g7. Here bishop is bad, whereas white bishop is quite active and good. h5 was then played, king to e2, king is going towards the center. Remember, whenever you are towards the end game, you should bring your king towards the center, and if you have dark square color, then you should put your pawns on the white square color, not on the black square color. If you are able to put on the light square color, then it will be easier for you to win the game rather than putting the pawns on the black square color. That is what Anish Giri is trying to do. Let's see what was happened. King to f8. However, this theory does not work over here because there is the piece of knight. If the knight was not over here, then this theory will be applicable. King to f8 was then played, g4, trying to exchange and put the pawn on the white square color. H captures on the g4, H captures on the g4, king to e8, king to d3, bishop to f8, and now black have the more number of square for bishop as well. So here knight to e1 was then played, knight b4 check, and bishop captures on the b4, bishop captures on the b4. Here white didn't have good bishop over here because he had the pawn on the black square. That's why here Anish Giri simply exchanged with the knight and just gave up the bishop for knight, and bishop captures, because here knight captures pawn was also coming up. If white didn't capture the knight on the b4, then he would be a pawn down. So that was also forced move for Anish Giri. Then after knight to c3 attacks the bishop, bishop back to e7 was then played, f4, king to d7, knight e3, bishop to a3, f5, g captures on the f5, g captures on the f5, a6 was then played, f6, bishop goes to f8, king to e2, bishop to h6, knight to c2, bishop back to f8, king f3, king is trying to come to the g5, then after h5, if bishop goes somewhere, then king can enter to the h6, then after h7. But however, this is not possible until there is bishop on the f8. King to e8 was then played, king g4, bishop to h6 was then played, king to h5, and bishop to d2 here. And Anish Giri was trying to go for the king to h6, but Mahesh Thapa didn't let king to go enter into the territory of the black. That moment made black to draw the game. However, Anish Giri tried for some tactical line, but that didn't work. We'll look at how that happened. Where did Anish Giri think for a tactical movement? We'll look at that position as well. Then after king back to g4, king d7, king back to f3, king e8, king back to e2, and bishop goes back to the h6. This look already a draw position. However, it was being played for a long time, and some tactical way was thought by Anish Giri, but that didn't work and it ended with draw. King to f3 again was played, bishop to d2, king e2 attacks the bishop, bishop h6, king d3 was then played, king d7, king c3, king c6, knight b4 check was then played, king b5, knight d3, king back to c6, a4 was then played, bishop to e3 attacks the pawn, b4 was then played, b5, e5 was then played, king b7, knight check, king to a7, king d3, bishop to h6, king e2, bishop f8. And here Anish Giri thought for a while and he was thinking to go towards the king f3, then after king g4, and then after king to h5, so that if he can go enter to the territory of the black, then he might win the game. But after king to f3, there was bishop captures on the c5 and d captures on the c5. Then king to b7 was played, king to e3 was forced, because if king goes to the g4, then there will be pawn push coming up, and even though black gives the pawn, it's the draw. King goes back to f3, then there will be d3 coming up, king goes to the e3, and then after king to c6, king captures in the d3, king to d5, and there is no way to protect the pawn on the e4. So the tactical way to capture the pawn on the d3 didn't work for Anish Giri and it ended with draw. Here, the only way to protect the pawn on the d5 is c6, and he can capture it. After that, king to e4, and it simply ends with the draw. King d7, king to d4, again king comes to the c6, and it's already draw. However, the game ended with some other pattern. King to e3 was then played, king c7, king to d3, king d7, king e3, king c7, king d3 back, king d7, king e3, and king c7, and it ended with the draw. We congratulate Mahesh Thapa for playing so wonderful game. He was trying to draw the game from very beginning and it worked for him very well. Thank you everyone for watching the video, and again we would like to thank Anish Giri for playing a simul for Nepal and of course helping us to increase the level of all the Nepalese and also to get motivated in the chess. We'd like to thank him very much. Again, we like to congratulate Mahesh Thapa and all the participants who played in the game. For those who have not subscribed our channel, please do subscribe and support us. If you like the video, please do like, share and comment in the comment section below. Thank you and bye bye. See you in the next video.